Restructure Nigeria now or face the consequence. Yoruba elders warn President Buhari, and the race for gubernatorial race in Edo State heats up. Will we win? This is Plus Politics. I am Kayode Ladende. Welcome back. This is Plus Politics. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, killings, kidnapping, and banditry, the Yoruba Summit Group has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to restructure Nigeria before the 2023 elections, warning that the country may collapse if it is not restructured before 2023. The group warns that Nigeria is at the very edge of impending collapse. The group said it was persuaded that nothing short of restructuring can save the country, warning that any attempt to go ahead with elections in 2023 without addressing the issue of restructuring will spell doom for Nigeria. Joining us to discuss this is Mr. Yinka Odumakin, the spokesperson of the Afenifere. Do we have Mr. Yinka? Good evening.
Good evening.
And joining us in this conversation again is Dipo Olayokun, a journalist and a public affairs analyst. Good evening, Mr. Olayokun.
Yes, hey, good evening. Viewers, good evening.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Let me start with Mr. Yinka. When I saw that statement, I was actually looking out for your name, but I want to get your take on, are you part of this decision? Because I saw notable names that are actually part of your associates, so to say. So are you part of the people issuing this statement?
Oh, clearly.
And what informs this? Why at this time?
Because when you look at Nigeria today, Nigeria is at the edge of the precipice, like you said. We are becoming a laughing stock. About 5 years ago, we said we are going to fight corruption as a country. We elected a president who will fight corruption to stand still. 5 years after, this is where we are. We are now one episode per day in terms of corruption sleeves. And the way Nigeria is at today, you can see that we have lost virtually every virtue as a country. And go to the economic front. Just 2 days ago, we have also started the president is going to borrow almost another 500 billion naira. You're going to borrow until there's no loan anywhere around the world again. And to think that you can borrow ourselves out of this crisis, we are joking. Look at the killings all over the country. Sadaka is related. We are losing lives on daily basis in large numbers, and there's no solution to it. Oh, the boot service ships. The president has refused. And so, on all fronts today, Nigeria is in trouble. And we believe that there is no way to get out of this crisis by retooling, resetting, getting Nigeria back to further federalism. We're not saying that federalism will solve all our problems, but the truth of the matter is that we cannot solve any of our problems today without, destroying the country. And the truth of the matter is that there is the separatist feelings growing in different parts of the country that care is not taken. If we don't do something quickly, those separatist feelings may take over large part of the country. And once that happens, no implication for the country. That's why we are calling on the president that this is time now to retreat the country, to restructure the country, to get people back to work, to go back to productivity. Not to think that you can borrow money to get out of this crisis, or that you try that has failed to solve the problem.
Okay. Mr. Dumakin, we'll come back to some of the issues because I realize that your opening remark has brought up about 3 issues: the issue of fiscal federalism, the issue of devolution of power, and several issues that are associated with restructuring. But I'll come back to you. Let me talk to Dikbo Olayoko, this seems to be some kind of dichotomy over time. We hear that these are Yoruba leaders. We have a long list of Fashionrochi, we have Pa Adebanjo, we have Professor Akintoye, we have Gani Adams, all shades of Yoruba leaders. Is it okay that we can conclude that this is the voice of the Yoruba race?
That would be very difficult to determine because you have to look at the point of where did we elect these people as our leaders? Because as far as Nigeria is concerned today, the people that can actually speak for the Yorubas are the elected people. But at the same time, we should not run away from the facts of what they are calling for. My concern, I'm very happy to have listened to Mr. Lincoln Markins, my very good friend. As a matter of fact, I did not read the entire speech or the entire statement. But what really caught my attention when I listened to the news in the morning, especially a press report, that Nigeria might collapse before 2023. I would have loved to see the points that gave them the impression that Nigeria might collapse. Especially, don't forget that before the 2019 elections, we had similar things, that if we don't restructure before 2019 election, Nigeria will collapse. It is very, very necessary for us to take a look into what happened in the First and Second Republic, especially the First Republic. When you have Baba Femi Awolowo in the West, you have Dr. Azikwe in the East, and then you have Sardauna Sokoto in the North. How were things being run then? There was competition. There was competition, not rivalry. And that is what a lot of people are making reference to. Yes, good. Only because they said the only thing that's permanent is change. It is necessary for us to try and do necessary changes. But the most important thing in the case is the dramatic personnel. Have they restructured their minds? Those who are going to be saddled with responsibility. Let us assume that we go back, because a lot of people are saying, let us go back to the First Republic. But interestingly, the restructuring has gone beyond the First Republic, where you have the West, you have the East, you have the North, and they have autonomy and stuff like that. But it has gone beyond that. Can we compare the caliber of the people we have in the First Republic with the caliber of people we have now as our leaders? The answer is capital no. Yes, it is good to restructure. But I think what Nigerians should avoid this time around, especially, is some statements that are capable of inciting the people. People go about talking about Nigeria might collapse. Nigeria doesn't need that now. We need words that will preach peace. Even if there's a better, like in Yoruba, they will say, when you are raising alarm, it depends on the way you are raising alarm. Some people can raise alarm and people will begin to dance to it. And some people will raise alarm and then people will begin to run helter-skelter. I think what is very, very important now is that it's for us to be very circumspect in the type of language that we are using. Nigeria may collapse. I think we need to avoid such things because we started it in 2019.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I remember before the 2015 election, there was a prediction by an American diplomat that by 2015 election, Nigeria, there won't be anything like Nigeria after 2015 election. And here we are. So okay. I think they could have better put that message across.
It's okay to note your reservation about the choice of words. But let me go back to Mr. Odumaki. Looking at that statement, trying to echo what Dikbo highlighted, I put it in quote, notwithstanding the interest of some elements in our midst. Probably you might need to make it clearer to us. As a political journalist, I would want to believe that that element talks about the elected officials that that Dikbo alluded to, probably may not be part of this. And there is also this undertone that this is the Yorubas or the South against the North. Is that what restructuring is all about? Because I can also remind you, you were part of the 2014 National Conference, and you saw the outcome that the people that were really pushing for the restructuring were more of the people from the South.
Well, first of all, let me say that, let me first join this with my brother to know that the question of right from before independence, different parts of the country that have their cultural leaders, and they are still there today. So it's not this is very simple. Those who are elected during 4 elections ago are the political leaders, and they are also the cultural leaders of the various people of Nigeria. That's a misunderstanding of what we are talking about. And as in terms of other Nigeria, people say Nigeria will collapse. I don't know anybody who know where Nigeria is coming from and who know what we are know where Nigeria is to be, that we argue with the fact that Nigeria is collapsing. I mean, I don't know the kind of optimism that makes anybody to say that there's no fear for where Nigeria is to be, and that we should do something about it. So why anybody should have any problem with that, I can't understand. Except everybody want to appreciate where Nigeria is as of today. If I tell you, look at what are we earning now? What is available for us to spend? What are we borrowing? Look at the killings left, right, and center. Is that what anybody should be happy about? And I say we should consider that? Definitely no. And that's why I think it's sitting at home that in the interest of this country, it's about time that some of this country at this moment should look happy to the point of reason and begin to disturb the country so that we can keep the country together, we can reorganize the country, and then we can keep it along the path of progress. But where we are now, everybody who understands human society function, you know that things are not well and cannot continue this way.
Okay, I'm concerned about the regional interpretation that we are giving to this. Staying with you, Mr. Odumaki, how do we explain this? It appears the Yorubas have something that probably other people are yet to understand, because people will say that we'll expect the likes of the South to talk about this restructuring louder than the Yorubas in terms of the resources that they have. Can you educate us more on the reason behind this drive by these octogenarians, by these old people saying that at least before they go, they want to see a restructured Nigeria?
Look, the question of the culture is it's not just a matter of Yoruba alone. Presently, we have what we call the South-South, the Southeast, the Southwest, and the Midwest. They're together. All these zones, they are presently in courts against the way the country has been arranged in terms of lopsided appointments in the last 5 years. So if I also, it's not a Yoruba thing alone, but it is just a Yoruba thing, respecting what all these zones have voiced out clearly in terms of the need to put the country aright. Nigeria is not well at the moment. The country is sick, and you cannot continue this way and think that, we are going the right way. We are not.
Okay. Mr. Dikpo, let me help you. Since you haven't seen the statement, let me give you some of the quotes there. One of the things that these leaders mention is that they will mobilize the Yorubas not to participate in any election until restructuring or self-determination is attained. And they seems to be very unequivocal about this. Do you think this is just a mere rhetoric? So is I'm sure you stayed long enough to know.
I don't think, as a matter of fact, what you just said sounds very strange to me. Because when they said Yorubas would not take part in 2023 elections, I would have loved to see those people who wrote that, because I would say they didn't mean it. Because what do they have to stop elections to hold in 2023? That's why I said usually the only people that can talk about stopping election in 2023 are the political leaders. Let me tell you one thing. The issue of restructuring, perhaps when people see it as a Yoruba thing, is because it didn't start today.
Dikpo, sorry,
Hello?
what's your definition of political leaders? Do you have to be elected to be a political leader?
Yes, because it is through election that you can know the people that can represent you. As simple as ABC.
Okay.
It is through election that you can know the people that can represent you. Or somebody will just stand in the middle of the road or at the village square and say no election will hold. These are things that are not possible. As they are saying that some people are already are gearing up for 2023 elections. And I don't think that Yorubas will want to be left behind when the things really start. You see, there's a need for us to be very serious when you are talking about restructuring. Yes, some people see it as a Yoruba thing because of Papa who started this thing very, very many years ago. But the point is, what we are saying is that yes, it is good to restructure. But I think what Nigeria needs more than anything now is let us preach peace. There's no problem that we have today that we have never experienced before in the history of this country. There's no problem that is confronting this great country today that are new things. So that is why every patriotic Nigerian should be thinking of how do we get across over this problem.
Okay.
Is it the problem of corruption
I will
that
come
we
back
didn't
to
have
that.
in the First Republic? Is it the problem of insecurity
let's listen to
that we
Yinka
didn't have in the
react on
First
this.
Republic when we even have the restructuring? So the point is there's a need for us to be very articulate in what we are asking for.
Good. Let's
You are talking about government borrowing money. Are they not borrowing money in the then? So these things are not the problem of restructuring.
Okay.
It is the problem of the dramatic personnel in our politics.
Good
So
submission.
that is why that should be the major focus.
Let's have Yinka react to this because
he
is fully in support of this statement. So do you agree with Dipo that that statement was probably not well thought out?
Well, it depends on its own interpretation of issues, and it's not sitting on the seat of those who are praising the issues of Nigeria as it is today. So, as a commentator, yes, it's entitled to its own interpretation, and I will not deny him that. But when the leaders across the other zones begin to speak, I hope we're able to characterize it this way. The way you dismiss the leaders from this section of the country, the way you dismiss leaders from that country who feel so strong about the issues of Nigeria. But for me, it's not about the debate on this forum. It's about the fact of where Nigeria is today. How do we get out of this? We are insisting that we cannot use the same system that created the problem for you to move on. That we have to retool to reset Nigeria, and socially it's not a big grammar. It's about returning back to federalism. That's what we're talking about.
Beautiful.
And anybody who does not understand and appreciate the fact that Nigeria to restore or reset today, is that does not appreciate where we are or does not love the country.
Yinka, in trying to appreciate the position of restructuring, an argument ensued among some political pundits, and they said that a very good example is what is happening over the issue of NDDC probe, where we have people from the same region. Imagine if powers has been devolved. Are we not going to have, pardon my language, more embezzlement, so to say?
Let's not make any mistake. NDDC is not about what you're talking about. NDDC is an agency created to replicate the central authority that we have in Abuja across zones. And you cannot create something different from what you're creating from.
Okay.
So we also heard about what's happening in Nigeria, NDDC, but it is not that's not what I'm talking about restructuring, about the authority power returning to the people. This was about Abuja creating its own image in its own even Northeast Development Commission, which just started just yesterday. Have you not seen the corruption all over the place there?
Okay.
Corruption is the defining defining structure under this arrangement of unitarianism. So let's not mix those two.
Beautiful. Thank you for your position there. I'm so scared that our time is fast spent. Mr. Dikpo, please, you have 30 seconds. I'm sorry if I sound unfair to you to explain this. What he has said.
No problem.
Sorry, before you respond, what he has said.
I think what is playing out in Nigeria has just come to tell us that the problem is not the problem of the structure, but the problem of the dramatics personnel. You have just mentioned the case of the NDDC. Even if you restructure and then you devolve power to the states or to the whatever region, are they not the same dramatics personnel that will be operating at that level? So the problem is not that of the structure per se. Nobody is against the structure. What about the principal actors? Until we restructure our minds, that is more than any other thing.
Okay.
When the later Akuyili was the DG of NAFDAC, what happened to NAFDAC?
Okay.
Have they changed NAFDAC from then till now? Can you compare the NAFDAC of today with the NAFDAC of the woman? That's later Akuyili. When the former governor of Akwa Ibom, Godswill Akpabio, was the governor of Akwa Ibom, we know what the guy did in Akwa Ibom. Was he the only one collecting 13% elevation? Was he the only one collecting money from federal government? But you can see the difference he made. It is the individual. Okay. Until we change our mindset,
thank you.
We will continue to ring roll and move in circle. That is more important
thank you so much, Dikpo
nobody's against restructuring. But the point is, until we restructure the mindset of the dramatics personnel, we will continue to move in circle.
Thank you so much.
And we won't get any results. NDDC have just shown us that one.
Our time is fast spent. Thank you so much, Dikpo Olayoku, for your position. And like Mr. Yinka Odumake has also said, that these voices, these cries, should not be discarded. It should be taken seriously. The conversation continues on all our social media.
Nobody's against restructuring.
Sorry, you have taken your position. Thank you for your time. And thank you for staying with us, our viewers. We'll take a short break now. And when we return, Edo politics is up next for discussion. We'll be right back.